Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty stitch. It's a front post and a little alternative V stitch in the middle. It makes a nice stretchy blanket, a nice soft blanket. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really easy. Now around the edge for the border, I've done 2 rounds. I ran out of yarn. I would have liked to have done 3 rounds. I done this rib type stitch around the edge. I'll show you how to do that as well. It's a really nice, stretchy, big blanket. Make it as big as you want it to be. This one's going to go over my knees. This is a really nice size for a knee blanket. So with this one, I just used up my 4 balls of yarn that I had, and it's done in a chunky yarn. It's done with just a white chunky yarn. It didn't even have a label on it. I just know it's chunky yarn. So I'll show you how to do this. So this pattern is done in sets of 8 stitches. And you'll do as many sets of 8 as you want the width of your blanket to be. You're going to need an odd number of those sets of 8. So that's either 3 sets, 5 sets, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sets. Do you know what I mean? So you'll do an odd number of those sets of 8. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got an odd number of sets of 8 stitches. You do yours to the width you want. Now I'm using a chunky yarn. That's a weight 5 in the USA and other countries. In the UK it's chunky yarn. It looks a little bit better in chunky, I think, but you can use any yarn you want and use the hook size it tells you on the label. Now into the 5th stitch, count 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You're going to put a UK treble crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a double crochet for you. We're going to start with a group of 4. So that chain counts as 1. That's 2. 1 into the next one is 3. And 1 into the next one is 4. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into this stitch I'm going to do our V stitch. Now yarn over and into that stitch, do your UK treble crochet. That's a double crochet if you're in the USA. So from now on I'm just going to call these stitches and call this a V stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and into that same stitch do the other half of the V stitch. So the V stitch is 1 either treble or double crochet, whatever country you're in, chain 1 and 1 more. Now we're going to chain 1, skip 2, 1, 2, and we're going to do 3 treble crochets, 3 stitches. So skip 2 and do 1, some yarn, 1 into the next one is 2, 1 into the next one is 3. Now we're going to do the V stitch again. Chain 1, skip 2 and then do your V stitch. Once we get this row done, the rest of it will be much easier because you'll be working inside your V stitch. So do the first part of it, chain 1, do the second part of your V stitch, chain 1, skip 2 and then do 3 stitches along. That's a treble crochet or 3 double crochets along if you're in another country. It's the same stitch, So 1, 2 and 3. And we'll do the V-stitch again. So remember, chain 1, skip 2 and do your V-stitch. Chain 1 and one more into that same stitch. Chain 1, skip 2 and do our 3 stitches along. Chain 1, we're going to skip 2 and I've got 4 stitches left. If you've got too many, then just pick them out. But we're going to do 4 treble crochet, so skip 2 and I'm going to do 4 of my stitches along, and that's going to make each end the same. 2, 3 and 4. I've got one little extra stitch there. I'm just going to pick it out. I must have miscounted. So if you've got any extra, just pick it out, but make sure you finish at the end with 4. If you don't have enough, I'm going to pull that in. If you don't have enough stitches, what you can do is, this is your tail. You can make a few extra stitches with your tail. Just put your hook through the bottom of a stitch and crochet a couple of extra stitches if you need it. That's in case you might miscount your stitches. I'll take that one back out. If you've got extra, 1 or 2 extra, just pick them out. So now we're going to start the pattern. We're going to start the pattern. We'll always start with a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn your work around. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work these 3 stitches. These will be in our pattern. This won't. This is going to hold your border of your blanket. We're going to work around the front of this stitch, around that post. And I'll show you what you're going to do. You're going to work around like this. So put your yarn over and we're going to do 3 treble crochets. That's doubles if you're in the USA. So go through the hole, right through the back, and then just scoop up that post of the stitch. Put your yarn over and pull through and pull up your stitch. You've got to pull the stitch up. If you don't, your blanket will curl like this. Once you've got the border on, it will flatten out, but make sure you pull that stitch up to help stop your blanket from getting a deep curl in it. So finish the stitch, yarn around, and we're going around that one, around the post, work the front of the stitch, pull it up, and your third one, around, so scoop it around. You've got your stitch on the front of your hook. So we're going to do a V-stitch again. So now we're just going to chain 1 and go into the V and do that V-stitch. That's 1 stitch, 1 chain and 1 stitch. All into that V-stitch. Chain 1, remember the chain 1. And we're going to work around these 3 stitches. So go scoop it up and pull up your stitch. Pull it up quite a bit. You might think you're pulling it up too far, but you're not. Going to keep it nice and flat. And your third one. Pull it up. So we're going to do our V-stitch again. So chain 1 and do your V-stitch. That's 1 stitch, 1 chain and 1 stitch. All into that middle of that V. Chain 1. Move over to your 3 stitches. So don't touch these 2. That's you're building your V-stitch in there. You're building your V-stitches in there. So go around these 3. One at a time. Remember and pull up. It's what makes this quite quick. It's a quick stitch. So that's one stitch, one chain, and one stitch to make that V stitch. Chain one and move across. Now we've got 4 left. We're going to work the first 3. Work around, have your stitch on the front, so work around the post of that stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to do 1 treble crochet into, count 1, 2, 3, into the top of that chain. It's actually the 4th one. So into the top of that chain, do a normal treble crochet. Now you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn. As you can see, that's not part of your pattern. So the way your pattern is, you've got 3 here, a V-stitch, 3, a V-stitch, 3, and you finish with 3. The one on the end and the one on this end just becomes the edge. It will slightly curl under, but we're going to use these ones to do our border. So we've done 3 and turn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work behind these 3 stitches. These 3 stitches we're going to work behind, from behind. So go from behind, bring it through to the front, and then through to the back like this. Pull your yarn through and up. Remember and wriggle it up. We're just doing the reverse of what we did, and it keeps all your posts on that side. So we're going to work from behind. This is the back of your blanket. So you'll know when you're on the back of your blanket, you'll see those ridges. So go from behind to the front and scoop it through so your stitch ends up on the back of your hook. And pull through and up. And then do the 3rd one. And we'll do that 3rd one. We're going to chain 1 and do a V-stitch. Just in the normal way. 1 stitch, 1 chain, and 1 stitch. Chain 1 and move to the next 3 stitches and work behind them. Work them from the back. Just go around the post. Make sure we pull it up a little bit. Then chain 1 and work a V-stitch. So I'm on my last set of stitches. So I'm working from the back 3 of the stitches, and the last stitch I'm going to work into the top chain. 1, 2, 3. That's my chain of 3. Just do a normal 1 treble crochet. That's a US double into that last stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. And you can see your pattern emerging. And you can see that because we've got 4 on the end, we keep our pattern of 3 stitches. These ones and the ones on this side, you'll use those to do your border. And that's the 2 rows you'll keep repeating. So now we're going to use those 3 stitches. This time we're at the front of the blanket, so we will work from the front around the post. 1, 2, remember and pull the stitch up so it doesn't curl. 3, chain 1, do your V-stitch, chain 1, the other part of your V-stitch, and chain 1 and move across to your next set. So we're at the end again. We're going to work the front of these 3 stitches, and my last one in that chain will just do a UK treble crochet. That's a USA double. So this is a front post UK treble crochet, or a front post USA double crochet, because the post is on the front of your hook. Remember, pull it up and into the top of that chain of 3, count 1, 2, 3 stitches up and do 1 stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and turn. So we're at the back of the blanket. So when you're at the back, you'll work the stitches from what would be classed as the back. It is the front, but we're going to be working from through the back of the stitch. So yarn over and go from the back and pull through. Work the stitch from the back. Remember and pull it up. 1, 2, and my third one, 3. Right, chain 1, do the V-stitch, chain 1, the other part of the V-stitch, and chain 1, and move to your next set of stitches. And that's the 2 rows you'll keep repeating. When you get to the end, when the back of the blanket is there, you'll work around the back of these 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then into the top of the chain. You'll chain 3 and turn, and you'll start again. So your chain 3 is just right here on the edge. You'll work around the front of these 3 stitches, because the front of the pattern is facing you. So you'll do 1, 2, 3 front posts, chain 1, do a stitch, a chain and a stitch to make your V-stitch, then chain 1, 3 stitches, then your V-stitch, and you'll continue doing those 2 rounds until your blanket, or whatever you're using this for, whether it's cushion covers or a throw or whatever, until it's the size that you want it to be. It is really pretty. Look at this. It's nice and thick and so soft. It's just a white chunky yarn. I've just used a white chunky, any white chunk. You can use any yarn you want for this. Now I've done this as a knee throw. It's just going to go over your knees. It's such an easy to remember pattern. So what I'm going to do now is I want to do that pattern, that front post, around where you just work around your post all the way around this. So what I want to do is I want to do this type of border around. See if I've got enough to do 3 times around. I don't know if I will. I might only have enough for 2. I only had 4 balls of this, and I thought I would just make myself a little knee blanket. Now I'm going to do a chain of 3. 1, 2 and 3. So that's the first stitch in my corner, and in this stitch I'm going to make my corner. I'm going to put another one. Put 1 stitch in the corner, chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the corner I'm going to put another 2, 1 and 2 around. Now into each stitch all the way along. So I'm going into that chain 1, into that stitch, into that chain 1, into that stitch, into the chain 1, into the top of these stitches. I'm going to put 1 UK treble crochet. If you're in the USA, these are double crochets for you. 1 into each stitch all the way along. When I get to the corner, I'm going to put 2 stitches, 2 chain and 2 stitches, and then work my way down. What I'm going to do for each row, I'm going to put 1 stitch in there and 1 stitch in the space. see here, I'm going to put 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Just follow down the space, the 1 in the space, 1 in the stitch, 1 in the space, 1 in the stitch, all the way down. I get to the corner, 2 stitches, 2 chain and 2 stitches, and then 1 into this stitch, 1 into there. I'll put 2 into there because that's a chain of 2. Then 1 into that stitch and 2 into there, then 1 and 1 and 1. And that's a chain of 2, so I'll put 2 into there. There's 1 stitch. These 2 stitches are sharing that 1, so I'll put 1 in just to keep my stitch count correct and do the same up the other side. I went all the way around my blanket and I've done a second round. I've nearly finished my second round, but I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn to do a third. I might have. I'll give it a try and see how far it takes me. I can always just take it back. Now what I was doing is once I've done my first round of treble crochets all around my blanket, I've just been working around the post. Have the post of the stitch in the front of your hook. Just like this. And it's doing the same rib here around the blanket. Now I'm going to have to wash this and stretch it out. It is quite stretchy, as you can see, and I'm going to need to wash it and then pin it out so it all opens up and it'll become much bigger than it actually looks. It'll be much bigger. I've gone right around. I've got 3 stitches left, 2 stitches left. That one and that one. That one lines up with that. So do that last stitch. Then I'm going to slip stitch to my chain of 3 that I did to start my next round. Now the corners are 2 stitches, 2 chain and 2 stitches in the corners and slip stitch. So that's me got 2 rounds done on my border. I'm going to try with that amount of yarn I've got if I can get a round again. I don't think so, but I might be able to. So it would be, I'm going to slip stitch across into there. So it's only 1 stitch. Slip stitch, pull your chain up a little bit, slip stitch into the corner and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's my first stitch. Into the corner again with my second stitch, chain 2 and 2 more stitches in the corner. And then I'll just work my way around these stitches that are here and do that last third round. You can do as many rounds as you want on your border. You don't even need a border if you're keeping it for yourself and just putting it over your knees. So just 1 around the post of each stitch. So I'll see if my yarn will get me around 1 more time. I don't think so. I've got a wee feeling that it might not. And this is what your blanket is going to look like. It is really, really pretty. It's a beautiful, it looks like snow, doesn't it? It's like tracks in the snow. I really like this. It's a really easy pattern. It's quite a stretchy pattern as well. You can use a larger hook and make it nice and open, or you can use a smaller hook and have it a little bit more gathered in. But that is how you do this really pretty pattern for a blanket. Thank you very much. I will post a picture up. You might be able to see whether the edge has got 3 or 2. At the moment it's got 2. I don't think that ball's going to get, I don't have another one, and I don't think that ball's going to get me all the way around this blanket. It is quite big. It is quite big. It's quite stretchy as well, as you can see. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and please click on the bell icon and YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. It's completely free to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get up to 300,000. It's completely free to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you any money at all and I don't get paid for it. It just helps my channel to be seen a little bit more. So until the next time, happy crafting and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.